They said she had everything: wealth, beauty, influence, a life sculpted to perfection. And yet, none of it was enough to protect her. Because on a cold, silent night, she walked into her own mansion and was never seen again. No struggle, no scream, no trace. Only a single detail remained. Something investigators refused to explain. They said she wasn't alone that night. They said something not human was with her. Her name was Evelyn Marlowe. To the world, she was more than a socialite. She was a symbol, elegance woven into flesh and bone. A woman who moved through high society like a whispered legend. Born into privilege and elevated by her own brilliance, Evelyn had built a life that others only dreamed of. Charity galas, magazine covers, whispered invitations to private gatherings where power itself seemed to breathe. Her presence commanded attention without demanding it. But it was her home that fascinated people the most. A mansion resting just beyond the city's reach, hidden behind iron gates and towering trees that seemed too old, too silent. It wasn't just luxurious, it was timeless. Marble floors that reflected candlelight like liquid gold, corridors that stretched longer than memory, windows so tall they swallowed the horizon whole. People admired it, but no one stayed long enough to know it, because even in its beauty, there was something unsettling, something that made guests leave early without knowing why. And yet, Evelyn loved it. Or at least, she said she did. At first, the changes were small, almost unnoticeable. Evelyn began canceling events, not often, but enough for people to notice. She stopped hosting, stopped inviting. The woman who once thrived in crowded rooms began choosing silence instead. Her staff spoke quietly about it, about how she would pause mid-step, as if listening to something no one else could hear, how she would glance toward empty hallways, her expression unreadable. At night, lights in the mansion would flicker, not violently, but subtly, like a breath passing through the walls. Security cameras captured moments that didn't make sense, shadows that lingered too long, movements where no one stood, and once, just once, a silhouette appeared behind her, not beside her, not ahead, behind, watching. But when the footage was reviewed again, it was gone. Evelyn began writing, not publicly, not for anyone else, but in a private journal that would later become the center of the investigation. Her words were elegant, but fractured. She wrote about silence that wasn't empty, about footsteps that didn't echo, about a presence that didn't announce itself, but was always there. She never called it a person, never called it a spirit, only it. It watches, it waits, it knows when I see it. The entries became more frequent, more urgent. She described waking in the middle of the night, unable to move, feeling something standing at the foot of her bed, not touching, not speaking, just existing, observing. And then one line appeared, written with unusual pressure, as if carved into the page. It was already here before me. The night she disappeared. The storm came without warning, not violent, but heavy. The kind of storm that doesn't roar, but presses against the world like a weight. Evelyn had attended a private dinner earlier that evening. Witnesses said she seemed distant, quieter than usual, as if part of her had already left. Security footage captured her arrival home. She stepped out of the car slowly, pausing just before entering the mansion. For a moment, just a moment, she looked over her shoulder, not at the driver, not at the gates, but at something behind her. Something the camera couldn't fully capture. Then she entered. The doors closed. And that was the last confirmed sighting of Evelyn Marlowe. Inside, the mansion remained still. No alarms, no signs of forced entry, no sound, just silence. Endless, consuming silence. By morning, concern turned into alarm. Calls went unanswered. Staff entered the mansion cautiously. Everything was in place, except her. Her purse lay on a marble table. Her shoes were by the staircase. Her phone rested on the bed. Screen cracked, as if dropped, but there was no sign of struggle. No indication that she had left willingly. And yet, one detail disturbed investigators more than anything else. The front door was open, not wide, not forced, just slightly ajar, as if someone had left or something had entered. The media exploded with speculation. Kidnapping, escape, mental breakdown. Each theory tried to force logic onto something that refused to be understood. Some claimed she staged her disappearance. Others believed she had been taken. But none could explain the journal. None could explain the footage. None could explain the staff's testimonies of hearing footsteps at night, long after she was gone. And then there were those who whispered something else, something darker. That Evelyn hadn't been alone, that whatever she sensed, whatever she feared, was real. And it didn't need doors to enter. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered something the public had never known. The mansion was older than records suggested. It had changed hands many times, too many, and almost every previous owner had left. Suddenly, no explanations, no closures, just silence. One name surfaced repeatedly, a woman who had lived there nearly a century before Evelyn. A woman who also vanished, without a trace. Her journals, recovered from an archive, contained words eerily familiar, descriptions of presence, of being watched, of something that existed within the walls. She had written, "It does not chase. It waits until you understand it is already with you." The same pattern, the same fear, the same end. Years have passed. The mansion still stands, untouched, unclaimed. Some say it should be destroyed. Others believe that would only make things worse, because if something truly lived there, something patient, something unseen, then walls were never what held it. And maybe they never were. Evelyn Marlowe became a story, a warning wrapped in elegance, a reminder that not all darkness announces itself. Some of it waits quietly, until it is noticed, until it is understood, and then it doesn't need to hide anymore. So what really happened to Evelyn? Did she leave? Was she taken? Or did she finally understand something that no one else was meant to see? Some mysteries are never solved, because they were never meant to be. But one question remains. If she wasn't alone, then what exactly was with her? Tell me what you believe. Was this something psychological, or something beyond human understanding? Share your theory in the comments. And if you felt the silence in this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us on Rise from Tears, where every story hides something deeper.